Welcome everybody back to Boost Emotion, guys, and today we're going to talk about me coming from my boost controller JB4 from Burger Tuning up to getting a full-fledged tune on an Ecutek tuning program. But otherwise than that, guys, before I get into the video, watch this video. I put out a lot of informational videos for the Q50, Q60 community, also for the VQ and the VR30 world. But otherwise than that, guys, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so I've been asked this question a lot from you guys, from my Boost Emotion on IG, my Boost Emotion on Facebook, and my Boost Emotion on gmail.com. For some of you guys who are watching my channel new, I recently got tuned on Ecutek about a few months ago, and most of the people who've been following me, they know I've always been the JB4 Burger tuning guy with the boost controller. So now I'm going to share my experience coming from the JB4 Burger tuning to a full-fledged tune. And this is an experience you guys want to know, so I'm going to try to be as authentic as I can in this video for you guys that are watching. Alright, boom. Alright, so for some of you guys, I've had the Burger tuning JB4. Remember, this is a boost controller. If you're new to the channel, it's just a boost controller. It's from Burger Tuning, but it's just a boost controller. It doesn't make flash or hacks to the ECU or anything like that. It's just a boost controller that elevates the amount of pressure and it runs off stock tune timing and stop maps. Okay, pretty much that's it. Right? It's safe and it's easy to use. Now that goes into some of the pros. I like that it runs off the stock tune because the stock tune usually is more on the rich side. So you're just elevating the pressure and the car compensates for that. You still are making more power within around the same levels. Now some tuners might sit there and tell you, oh no, don't get that JB4 crap because the tuner wants your money. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a tuner, I'm just a regular guy, so of course. But let's continue. So it will definitely give you an increased amount of power. It runs off the stock tune, which is actually relatively really great and safe for your car to use. You can use it with majority of bolt-ons that you want to add to the car, and it's relatively easy and cheap and easy to install. It's relatively cheap to purchase and buy and resell. So that's one of the things I like about the JB4 that is pretty much great. You have different maps that they took a long time to data log to make sure that they'll give you guys preset maps if you want, or you have a map that you can run on your own, a map 6 or map 3 map, or a valet map. You can also run the JB4 with a meth kit, and you can also run JB4 with a fuel kit, so you can see how much octane, or pretty much how much octane or E you're running in the tank, whatever the case may be, for some of you guys who run mix. And that's just so cool. Also with the JB4, you can stack it on top of, you know, an aftermarket tune and make changes on the fly, which is also another cool thing that's out there, but I'm not going to get into that part. Those are some of the pros I've had with the car, with the JB4, and what it brings to the table. And it's just accessibility, where you can learn about your car. The JB4 allows you to look at certain parameters and just know and understand things. The information is out there, and you're just hands-on. And that was one of the best things about the JB4, because I was already a car guy before, but now it just allowed me to get more involved, especially when I didn't know much about turbo cars. I learned a lot just dealing with the JB4 and the JB4 community. Cool. Now here are some of the negatives about the JB4. The JB4 is a boost controller, right? So you don't have access to how much boost you want to build off the line or where you want the boost. There will always be a cap to how far and how much boost you can run. Yes, it does everything safely, but you can't, for instance, it's always going to add boost on top of it plus 2. So because we're on stock maps, when you floor it off the line, you're not getting, as for example, 14 PSI. No, you're probably getting 2 to 3 PSI because that's a stock tune. So you can only add but so much PSI on top of that, which barely isn't much. It takes time to build the PSI. So the JB4 doesn't allow you to have direct access to the wastegates, timing, or pretty much the tuning maps or AFRs, which is kind of the downfall. But you know, that's what the full-fledged Zoom does, but we'll talk about that a little later. Another downfall is when you plug it in. For instance, I have a 300 horsepower version. The transmission thinks it's dealing with a 300 horsepower engine right now. But when you throw on the boost controller, guess what? You have more torque and more horsepower. But the transmission still thinks it's the 300 horsepower version. So the JB4 doesn't have access to the load tables of the car to allow it to have more firmer shifts. So you will have laggier or slipping shifts if you rev it out all the time. So one of my recommendations I've always talked about in older videos is change your own gears. You know, but the car's gonna be so fast that the transmission just can't keep up with it. I'm not saying it's gonna destroy your transmission. No, it's just that's something that's probably longevity, and that's if you guys are beating on the car all the time. Yeah, most of the time you guys are just driving the car around. But honestly, the first to second shifts will slip or flare just because the you know, you haven't had the timing done, or not timing, the load tables done for the transmission, so it could just think that it's, you know, pretty much the red sport version, or just a higher line pressure to the transmission. So that's another one of the downfalls I dislike, on top of what I spoke about before. And lastly, what I gotta sit there and say is, honestly, with the JB4, that was it. Like, I just wish it was just more integrated. Like, it was just more integrated with the car, but that's necessarily what a tune is for. So let's just move on to that. Now that I'm actually tuned on Ecutek, remember, I gotta say this on video, right? I'm not gonna talk about the companies here necessarily. I'm only spoke about Burger Tuning because that's just Burger Tuning. You guys can purchase this device anytime and resell it, but a tune is completely different. Once you do it to your car, that's it. So there's different tuners out there, and they're all gonna give you different they're all gonna give you different results. So you have some companies that have been out there for a while that's been dealing with Ecutek software. This is the software, Ecutek, and the tuners are just the guys who use the software to tune your car. There's other tuners out there that will give you results, that will give you, your car will be faster and it'll run safer, but it'll run just as fast as a JB4 boost control car, which I've definitely noticed and dealt with when I was when I had a JB4. So if you guys want the fastest cars, you're gonna have to pay the little extra money, or find the specific tuners that can be able to give you the results you want. Okay, now here's the positives on getting an Ecutek tune, right? One, they have direct access to timing, tuning, load tables, wastegates, and a lot of other parameters, knock retard, and everything. They have way more access to a lot of the engine management. So they know a lot more about what's going on with the car than the JB4 would. And that's what I actually really love about the most. Two, depending on your tuner, he can allow now to change how quickly your turbo spools up and how much PSI you can build depending on your octane level or elevation, whatever the case might be, as long as the car is running right. So you have a lot more customizable ability to make your car even faster by the amount of boost pressure you run and timing they run, and how much they adjust the load tables. And that's another thing I like about what they do. They also adjust the load tables, so their transmission actually is a lot quicker, and it's just more involved, and it doesn't have a slipping issue. I just like that so much about it, and I noticed that immediately. Like with the JB4, I would never rev it on to let the transmission shift. With the tune, I could actually let it do it, and it'll literally catch itself, and it won't slip. It'll just be a lot quicker. It'll just be a lot quicker shifts and a lot firmer switch shifts, and I really like that about the actual tuning. A few other things, because everything is so customizable, you can literally have a map for let's say 100 octane. You could have a map for C16. If you want to go E85, you can now, you know, of course you have to upgrade certain other components for the car, but now you can actually run E85 with the upgraded pumps, and then they could tune for that too. So they can keep doing more and just getting so much involved with more. And honestly, guys, when it came down to the results, it was the best important thing, because now on paper the car was just literally on average 5.5 seconds faster. Like, you lose literally half a second, just literally half a second at a quarter mile by getting a full-fledged tune, at least with the company I went with. I spoke about the company before in other videos. I just don't want to do it for this video because I just want to keep it, you know, separated, right? Whatever the case might be. Some of you guys may like that because I named Burger Tuning, but at the end of the day, I don't want to give promotion to a company. Anyways, so let me continue. So anyways, it gave me the results. Now, this all sounds good because all I'm talking about is you have somebody who pretty much hacks the ECU and tells your car what to do, and you get the results. That's literally what you want to pay for something. You want, you need, and get it done. You want to buy an iPhone, you go buy an iPhone, and it gets what it needs to get done, right? Now, here is the downfalls of getting a full-fledged tune. One, not all tuners are created equal. Notice how I said that again. So there are going to be some tuners out there that's some random guy in, I don't know, China, Syracuse, Brazil with a computer, and he's a mad scientist, and he's just going to take the information from your car and send it back to you, and you have to upload it and see if it gives you the results. In some cases, they're not going to give you the best results because not all tuners are created equal. Two, you have to get involved with the car with data logging. Now, data logging is usually when you put the car in 3rd or 4th gear and you do 3rd or 4th gear pulls, or you get the car on a dyno. The same thing for the JB4 when you data log, whatever the case might be, but you already have the preset maps, and necessarily it's really relatively easy to not really have to data log on JB4. I'm serious, because there's so much preset maps and there's so much information out there that you can literally almost copy someone else's consistent data logging map, whatever, and if you're using the right fuel depending on elevation, you're good to go. You're really not going to have any issues. But with tuning, they need to know, because they want to adjust the amount of timing that you're running. So you're going to have to come from 40 to 120, 130 miles an hour on a public road. I mean, you should definitely do this on an abandoned road, but that stuff is dangerous, and you know, at the end of the day, it's inconvenient, because there's not a lot of places for some of you guys to do this stuff, and you're gonna put yourself in trouble or harm's way just to make your car faster. But you know, this is the price we have to pay for the game, whatever the case might be. But you know, that's more on us, right? Because we chose to purchase, so it's not their fault, it's our fault. That's why we have to pay to get them done. That's called remote tuning too. Another thing, because you don't know if you get the results, is the convenience that sometimes you want to be able to get the map sent to you. So it may take a day, it may take a week, it may take a month, depending on the tuner. You may not get the new map back, and sometimes that new map may not be the best map. So you might want to go to the track, you have to wait a week, and it's just so inconvenient. So I'm still speaking about inconvenience, being inconvenient here, whatever the case might be. Let's talk about some more of the negatives. After you get tuned, and let's say you got 1 or 2 revisions, right? After that, that's about it. It all depends on how the tuner warranties their product or give you after services. So let's say, for instance, now you purchased your tune and you got your car mapped and tuned or whatever, 2 to 3 revisions in a month. Now let's say 2-3 months later, you have run into a check engine light, and you know, you dialogue the car and you send it back to the tuner. The tuner could charge you a certain amount of money, because at the end of the day, now that you already paid for the services, now they have to look into it and see what was wrong with the car or whatever. And they may say, listen, I could fix it because I had this issue wrong with the map they gave you, whatever the case might be. So I could change the amount of timing, but for them to say that new map, guess what? You have to pay. So sometimes some of these tuners may not give you after services. Some may give you 2 weeks from what I just experienced. Some may give you 4 weeks. Some may give you 6 weeks. It all depends. 6 weeks. Some may even go to 6 months. It all depends on how they want to structure their company. So that's another thing I realized on: do they give you the protection of looking over your car? This is literally the software engineer just making sure your car is running right later on online. Yes, you bought a service, but this is an expensive service. Like this is a $40, $50, $60,000 car. It's expensive. I would want support for the next couple 2-3 months, or at least, or something. 2 weeks just sounds like a crunch. You guys can see where I'm going at with this, but let's just stay out for that. And finally, what I would say about getting an actual tune that could be a con is, once it's done, it's done. And when it comes to warranty purposes, not saying that these companies may not look into it, but because not a bunch of VR30s are blowing up out here. None of them are. That's not happening. It's just the fact that if there ever is an issue, most of you guys are watching are gonna put intakes in your car, downpipes, exhaust, and then you know you're gonna want to follow the same thing, and then you're gonna get car tuned. And some of you guys are not as, I would say, mechanically inclined as me or a few other people that's out there. You know, sometimes you guys don't even change your oil because you're like, whatever. I don't really care for it. And then you guys blow your motor because your car was running low on oil because they told you to wait 10,000 miles before your first oil change. And it's not your fault. This is what they told you to do. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, all motors are gonna eat some amount of oil, small amounts, but they will always eat some amounts of oil. So for me to continue, once it's done, it's done. And if they really wanted to deny your claim and they want to ship an engineer out, take a look or look into the programming, yeah, you're liable for a $10,000 to $15,000 long block, whatever, or short block, whatever the case might be. Or these turbos are like $1,200 each, so you're liable to get 2 new turbos and then pay for labor on top of that. So is that really a risk you want to take? Now you guys are going to ask me right now, well, what about you, Boost? You just got tuned. Well, reason being is, 1, you guys watch me, right? 2, more content, and 3, I said I'm keeping the car. So I took the initiative to make sure that, you know what, I'm gonna buy this car at the end of the lease, and I'm gonna continue to grow this car. So this is a choice I'm making as my own personal choice. Some of you guys may be leasing and like, I'm only gonna do this for like another, 24 months or whatever, and then I'm giving the car back. Some of you guys don't mind throwing money at a tune. Some of you guys don't mind throwing money at JB4 because guess what? You can have the car for a while, have it be a little quicker or a lot quicker, and then just sell it back off and trade the car in. At the end of the day, it all depends on what you guys want to pick your poison. But at the end of the day, that was one of my cons with getting tuned. But for you guys, it may be a positive because you may be keeping it. So otherwise than that, let me just briefly recap. Like, some of you guys are gonna ask, well, should you get if you're gonna get a lease, what should you necessarily do? Or if you're gonna get a finance, what should you necessarily do? And I'm gonna sit there and say it like this. Honestly, if I was gonna do it again, no, I was not keeping the car. JB4 only. That's it. I'm sorry. Like, JB4 only, and that's it. It's just, to me, it's the most convenient. I gotta say, it's like one of the best bang for its buck because you can still sell it back. Like, you can always take it off and give it to somebody else, and it works perfectly. You can't take a tune off and give it to nobody else. Just the Bluetooth doggo is like $200, $250, and that's something you can resell back. That's about it. You can't resell a tune. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the best convenient things. If you're going finance, you can do the same thing too. You can get a JB4 because you're gonna worry about warranty purposes, but some of you guys, you're financing your car, so it's a turbo car. These turbos need to be changed at certain intervals because they will go out. So 40, 60, 80,000 miles, your one turbo or two turbos may go out. Unfortunately, guess what you're gonna have to do? So at the end of the day, you're gonna be liable for the repairs. So in that case, I would recommend, if you're gonna keep the car, go with the best tuner out there and make sure that the car is always running right, and that's it. Make sure they give you the best after services and you do the best modifications to the car as possible, and just pay attention to the car and just take a look, make sure everything is running right. With lease cars, you can always give it back, but with finance cars, they're yours. So treat it good. Like, treat it like your clean the sneakers that you own. If you guys love chicken wings, make sure you clean the bone off the chicken wings. You know what I'm saying? If you guys love pizza, please don't eat the pizza backwards. You know what I'm saying? So otherwise than that, guys, I want to make this detailed video for you guys on just my experience on coming from one to another. And some of you guys are gonna sit there and say, before I close out, are the results really worth it? And I gotta say yes, it really is. My car came from being a car that could compete with, let's say, 392s, CATBACKs. It could keep up with majority of stock V8 cars, or keep them or beat them, whatever the case might be. But when it came to them being modified, then the spectrum kind of changed up a little bit, where it was like, yeah, these cars just put out more power. Now, the tune, I could actually compete with modified tuned V8s. Some stock V8 supercharged cars, depending on the displacement, how much horsepower they have, and other twin turbo or single turbo 6 cars that are on the market. My car can actually keep up with them. And to have that in a mom's car, Q50, is relatively good, and have the reliability of a Japanese auto manufacturer is freaking great without having to go Euro or German, whatever the case might be. So that's honestly what I like the most completely about it. And yeah, I just wanted to give you guys the best detailed video. Guys, if you like this video, hit the like. If you're watching it, just hit the like for me. It helps my channel even more. Comment below, tell me what you think if I missed something. Ask questions below. Definitely hit me up on boostinmotion on Instagram and boostinmotion on Facebook, and boostinmotion@gmail.com for the better questions, because sometimes it's hard for me to get to the comments. Otherwise than that, guys, you have a good day, good morning, good night. Thank you, guys. You have a good day.